Allah. Good morning everyone, welcome back. It's about 9 a.m. today. It's a Tuesday I think, and we are now going to make our way from Pangong Lake to Hanle. So it's about a 130 kilometer journey, and it's going to be a mixture of on-road and off-road. The weather isn't looking all that flesh. You can see the rain clouds on top. It was really cold last night, so thank God for bringing our thermals and so on. Accommodation was fine. Food wasn't all that great, but the views were excellent. So if you're up to see what we go through today, stay tuned. Bye bye. Day 5 of our Himalayan Motorcycle Adventure took us from the crystal blue waters of Pangong Tso to the remote village of Hanle, a journey of about 170 kilometers. We began at our campsite in Merak on the southern shore of Pangong and first made a short stop by the lake to capture the morning light. From there we rode towards Chushul, a small farming village not far from the line of actual control with China. Here our permits were checked and we had a taste of the strict border protocols in this sensitive region. The road then opened into fun stretches of dirt riding leading towards Rezang La War Memorial, built in honor of the brave soldiers who fought here during the 1962 Sino-Indian War. From this point my phone even thought I had crossed into China, a reminder of just how close we are to the border. We continued onwards towards Tsaga, where we enjoyed a hearty lunch before following the Indus River throughout the remote village of Dungti. The landscape here shifted dramatically, open valleys, small wetlands and endless mountain views. After crossing the Loma checkpoint, the final stretch of Hanle was pure riding bliss, smooth tarmac, wide open skies and almost no traffic. Hanle is best known for its high altitude astronomical observatory, one of the highest in the world, and its incredible night skies thanks to the minimal light pollution. It was here at nearly 4,500 meters above sea level that we settled into our campsite for the night, but the big question remained, where was Graham? Watch on to find out. We are now leaving Pangong and en route to Hanle. Oh, the skies have opened up now. Looks like the rain clouds are gone, but you can't say with the weather. It's hard to predict anything around here. Still quite cold and quite chilly. Andy is the rider at the front. Andy is originally from Czech Republic, but he's been in Australia for some time now. He actually lives in Catherine in the Northern Territory, and he's here with his dad. They're a good bunch of lads to hang around with. Great sense of humor. And that's more of the lake for you guys. It's probably a better view today than yesterday because of the rain. So as you go down further up that way, the lake is then shared with China because it goes to a border of China. And when you get to Hanle as well, I think it's quite close to China as well from what I understand. And in the winter months, the whole lake is frozen and they play ice hockey on the lake. It's almost impossible to get to Pangong in the winter months from Leh, because of the snow, all the roads will be covered with snow and so on, from what I gather from the locals. But I suppose if you have got specific vehicles, you could still come down here. It's quite dry, barren land, there's no trees, there's nothing. So they depend from supplies from the outer cities. So like this morning we wanted fruits for breakfast and they didn't have fruits because there's no supply at the moment. So we had eggs, toast, some butter, jam, and that's about it. So it's quite challenging and quite rough, the life here, I must say. And when you come and visit these places, it sort of puts life to perspective, isn't it? And makes you understand, it makes you appreciate the kind of life you live and the luxuries of life that you have and you can afford as well. Having said that, the views, breathtaking. Leaving Pangong, this land is just barren. There's nothing that grows here. It's just rocks, a few very little plants. It's all green here. There's some yaks and some cows living harmoniously. Some yaks. After leaving the shores of Pangong Lake, we rode along the Chushul road towards the small farming village of Chushul. The region sits just a few kilometers from the line of actual control with China, and every movement here is closely monitored. See how they build these walls with practically just rocks from the mountains, and they just stacked it up in such a way that it forms a wall. Not sure if they used any mortar on it. They probably did. On arrival, we were stopped by the local police for a permit check. It turned out that we had unknowingly bypassed a newly established checkpoint, so our backup vehicle had to backtrack to get the paperwork in order. Until then, we were not allowed to proceed. Nearly 15 minutes later, the matter was resolved and we were finally cleared to continue our journey. Beyond Chushul, the road turned into dirt, giving us some exciting off-road riding. To our left, over the mountains, lay the Chinese frontier, so close that at times my phone actually showed I was roaming inside China. They're making some new roads on the side there, and this is the older dirt track. We soon arrive at Rezang La War Memorial. This site holds deep significance in the Indian military history. In November 1962, during the Sino-Indian War, a small company of 120 soldiers from the 13th Kumon Regiment, led by Major Shaitan Singh, defended this very sector against overwhelming Chinese forces. Outnumbered nearly 20 to 1, the soldiers fought to their very last men. Their bravery at Rezang La has since become legendary, symbolizing courage and the sacrifice in the face of impossible odds. It was here at this very memorial that we also realized something wasn't right. Graham was missing. Unknowingly, he had ridden on ahead, leaving us behind without any way to contact him in this remote border region. Just got to the Rezang La War Memorial after riding some off-road and leaving from Pangong, and this is a very sensitive border because down there, those mountains, that's the border of China. You cannot see, but just at the foot of this mountain at the front, there's some tents there, and that's a meet-up point between China and India if they need to have any discussions or anything like that. You can see there's a bit of overcast at the moment, and it's looking pretty grey. Yeah, we're just here for a break to visit the War Memorial, and then we're going to head on. So far the ride has been good. We've been enjoying ourselves. Looking forward to the rest of the day. The guys are at the War Memorial, and we decided to head off to the spot where we're going to have lunch, because I am getting quite hungry. The breakfast today wasn't great. So that's about 25 kilometers from here. We figured rather than waiting around, we're better off just going ahead. The roads are good. So apparently before this, 3-4 years ago, there wasn't any roads here, it was all dirt. So this is all new. And good on them for making such good roads as well. राशि भाई सिगरेट मत पीना जिंदगी हाफ हो जाएगा मनी भाई खाना ज्यादा गाना रोहित भाई खा रहा हूँ मैं तो बस खाना बुखा देना So we just had a quick lunch and now we are heading off to Hanle. I can tell you guys one thing for sure. Riding in the Himalayas, you gotta be fit, man. Cause the tiredness just get to you. I mean, the roads are good, and you get a bit of off-road fun and a bit of challenges with the temperatures that are, erratic. It changes. One minute it's raining, the other minute it's sun and bright and sunny. One minute it's warm, and the other minute it's cold and windy. But what gets to me the most is the altitude. It really does take a toll on your body and your breathing, and I find that the most challenging part. And the key to managing the altitude is allowing yourself to acclimatize enough and drinking plenty of water is what they tell me. So we just make sure we drink lots and lots and lots of water. And yeah, you just got to monitor that. And the air here is so thin and so dry that all my lips are all just dried at the moment, and it kind of hurts as well. But it is what it is. So let's see. We're at a checkpost now, so they just need to check our permits and make sure that it's all correct before they let us move on, essentially. So let's see how that goes, and we should be on our way. After lunch at Tsaga, there was still no signs of Graham. In this part of Ladakh, communication is almost impossible. Prepaid SIM cards and roaming numbers do not work here. Only Indian registered postpaid connections are allowed. And because Graham was on roaming, there was no way we could contact him. I had hoped to spot him on the road into Tsaga, but he was nowhere to be seen. Our marshal had made some calls to the other tour marshals in the region, asking them to keep an eye out. But with no word and daylight moving on, we had no choice but to continue towards Hanle and hope for the best. Try not to go into the pond or the whatever this is called, lake, pondage. Oh, look at the flow of the water. At every checkpoint, we handed officers a copy of Graham's permit, so that if he had arrived on his own, they'd recognize him and let him through. With the uncertainty weighing on us, the only option was to keep riding deeper into the Himalayas. Through checkpost seems to be a hassle. We managed to clear the checkpost, and now we're well within our way to get to Hanle. We got one small problem. We've lost Graham, and so we don't know where he is, and we're hoping that he'll be at the other checkpost at the front. So hoping that we might see him there. We carried on riding, still hoping that Graham might be waiting for us at the next checkpoint after Loma. But once again he wasn't there. With no word, no way to reach him, we pushed on. The road from Loma to Hanle was simply spectacular. Smooth tarmac winding through vast altitude plains, where the scenery seemed to change every few kilometers. Despite the uncertainty hanging over us, the ride itself was pure joy, an unforgettable stretch of open Himalayan roads. You got miles and miles of nothing, just a single lane road and your motorbike. 26 more kilometers to Hanle. Only now in the recent years did the government allow foreigners to actually stay in Hanle. Before this, if you go back 2-3 years ago, you're not allowed to stay in Hanle. So the trip to Umlingla would have been a rather long day, because you'll have to travel from most likely from Pangong up all the way to Umlingla, which would have been a long day. Or you could probably stay in 1 or 2 towns before Hanle as well, but there wouldn't be many accommodation options. Now that they've opened up Hanle, and because Umlingla is such a popular destination now, there's some really decent accommodations there available, which makes it easier for tourists like me and you for traveling around this part of the world, you know. Okay, so we are making our way to our campsite now for today. It's 5 p.m. now, so it's a good time to actually get to a campsite. Hopefully it's a comfortable one. The views are just amazing. We're at altitude 4,300 meters at the moment, nearabouts. Almost there. Okay, so this is our resort, Crane Resort Hanle. It's alright, it's not a tent, so that's nice. It's made out of mud brick by the looks of it. Cool. So made it to Hanle. And it was not a very long ride today, but it was, I think the tiredness is getting to us, so it was quite tiring. Anyway, we made it to our campsite. I'm just going to turn the camera around. So if you look up that mountain there. That's where the observatory was. And this here is our campsite for tonight. We've got the dinner hall there. We've got accommodations in this. There are like 2 units in each. 2 units there, 2 units there. So enough for the 10 of us. And then we've got all our bikes fueled up, checked, ready to go for tomorrow, which is nice. And now I'm just going to give you a quick tour in what the actual accommodation looks like. It's not flash, but it's pretty good for an area like this. So you've got here, this is a lounge area, and then you've got the rooms, and obviously a toilet there. So a popular fact about Hanle is that they say that they're still in the Black Ages or Black Century or something, which means that they've got very little light in terms of electricity. So they've only got electricity from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. only for 3 hours in a day, which makes them one of the areas with the lowest light pollution in the world, which also makes this place really popular for stargazing at night because there's no light pollution, and hence you get the clear skies and you can look at the stars. So we're going to try to see if we can actually see that tonight. But otherwise, just being here, it looks pretty awesome. There's a lot of clouds tonight. I'm not sure if that's going to actually help us, but I suppose we'll find out later on. With that, thank you for staying tuned. I hope you guys liked this episode. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.